So this is kind of a video response slash my opinions on circumcision. I'm circumcised, so if that alters my perception of this topic, then so be it. Now, there's some rage in the thinkers community, as I'll call them, and rightfully so, about circumcision because it's genitalia mutilation, and that's literally what it is. That's not giving it an improper name. I mean, that's exactly what it is. And the reason why this angers them, most people don't see this as a big deal, or they're not very emotionally strong about this topic, and I'm not either, but we'll get into that. A lot of people don't see this as a big issue, and I'll explain to you from their perspective, via my words, why this is an issue. You're causing a child pain, quite simply. And to use the argument, well, they're not going to remember it, so why does it matter? So does that say that we should molest children because they're not going to remember it, or punch them in the face, or swing them around their head like a terrible towel? I think everybody would say no to that. If you take a baby and I had this image in my head, if you take a baby and you have a little X-Acto knife, like right next to the penis, I think quite a bit of people would be freaked out. And in this video, he also talks about how most doctors don't use anesthesia and so on and so forth. But let's get back to the moral reason of circumcision. And this is really discussing the decision of circumcision. So, they say it's wrong because every being has their rights, and you're violating that being's rights by forcing pain upon them of which they haven't chose to accept, which is a reasonable thought process. As I explained before, we don't punch babies in the face, so why should we force circumcision on them? The operation can still be done at an older age down the road if that person decides to do it. Having known few uncircumcised individuals, they seem to have the mentality generally, and this isn't all of them, and I don't know very many of them, so excuse my inexperience of knowledge here. But it seems like they don't want it to be done then because they know the pain that they'll go through to get it. However, they do tend to think, well, I wish my parents would have done that. And again, this isn't all of them. From a circumcised perspective, I'm glad my parents had it done. It's just a social, it's a cultural thing in America, I guess. Girls, at least some girls, again, I can't say all of them, tend to get freaked out by uncircumcised penises. Although that's really what penis looks like, unless it's chopped up. So it's a social standpoint of what you have to make this decision. And if I'm 22 like I am now, or even 13, and I'm like, man, I wish my parents would have done that when I was a baby. I.e., even though it's not relevant in any way, I wish my parents didn't name me David. But they did. So I have to live with it until I change my name. But that's just something I wish my parents would have done differently when I was an infant. And I understand that standpoint. I really do. As a male who hopefully is going to have a son in the future, I'm not going to agree to circumcision. I'm not going to dictate my thoughts, and my thoughts may change at that very given moment. I'm not in that type of situation, so obviously what I say now could be completely different than what I feel then. But I don't want to be that type of person that says, it's my way or the highway, it ain't gonna fucking happen, fuck that. You know, I'm not that type of person. I'm kind of like, well, I disagree with it. If it's the mother's decision to carry out with her plans, I'm not going to hold it against her. I don't know what me bitching about it my whole life would resort to. I don't think it would be positive or productive. On the other side, child might like it, as I do. You know, child might like it when they grow up. But at least I can look my child in the face and be like, I didn't support this, and you can take that right or wrong, but I didn't feel it was right to cause you pain that you didn't want. I mean, you didn't want. And yeah, I don't remember it. And I guess that is the biggest counter argument to this whole thing. And again, it goes back to punching babies in the face. But I, as a circumcised individual, do not remember it. And therefore, again, I'm thankful that the surgery happened. I don't remember it. I'm glad it's done. It's wonderful. You know, and that's just my perspective. And I'm not going to say it's right or wrong. You know, I think violating someone's rights to cause them pain, especially genitalia mutilation, is wrong. But there's also social benefits from it. At least where I live. I mean, it's a reality. It just is. And it could affect self-confidence. I know it affects self-confidence. Again, in my experiences. So what do you think, buddy? What do you think? You know, this is coming from someone's perspective. I do agree with you. It's violating their rights and forcing them to endure pain, especially as an infant. I understand. At the same time, there are social benefits to it. And the child doesn't remember it. And that doesn't mean you should beat your child. That may be an analogy that's a little bit off track there. Because if you're beating your child, you're doing it intentionally to cause them harm. Out of spite, really. I mean, who just beats the hell out of their child? That's just mean. I don't think people have a mean demeanor when they're circumcising their child. And I'm not arrogant enough, I believe you brought up this point, I'm not arrogant enough to say that my child's dick has to look like mine, and that's why it has to be circumcised. I guess I'm just different. I'm not that type of person. I don't know. I've never heard that excuse. Maybe I'll go home tonight and ask my father, or ask my mother, how they came to that decision. And I thought about it last night, the night before last. But it's not that important to me, really. It's not an emotional, climax for me. So that's my thoughts. Hope to hear your thoughts on my thoughts. Thank you.